Okay, before I lose out on all light as the sun sets here and I'm walking home, quick wrap of day 2 of Taipei Cycle 2023. Yesterday was a day of walking around the exhibition, scoping out who was there, what the show was all about. You saw in yesterday's video quite a few interesting things and a bit of humour thrown in because you got to have fun. And when you're at a show like this, there's a lot to see, a lot of crazy and wild stuff too. Today was more about meetings, quite a lengthy discussion with Classified, discussing all things efficiency and some independent testing there. So great to catch up with Classified. Hopefully stay tuned for a lot more on that. I'm really interested in that, and there's a hot topic at the moment. Lots of discussion around their testing numbers, real world numbers, etc. If I can get a hold of one of their wheels, I'd love to put it through some paces, I guess. There's a few different theories about how to test that wheel because we can't put it on a direct drive trainer or a wheel-on trainer, but there are a few ideas floating around, so I'm sure it's going to be a bit of fun riding that if I can get a hold of one. I think I can. Caught up with a few other companies, Ceramic Speed being one of them. Now, I asked Ceramic Speed what was new in the world of obsessive searching for low friction, and I got taken through all what was new at Ceramic Speed, and yeah, they had a little booth crammed away in the third part of the festival / exhibition, but that was okay. Again, it's B2B, it's about their meetings, it's not about showcasing things and being in front of everybody, but we found them, so did everybody else, and had a chat to those guys. Not much, I don't think there's anything coming up from me on that. Not much really I can test. Their claims are very marginal, and the equipment that we have, like power meters that we have, plus or minus 1%, kind of hard to measure the areas that they're playing in. What else? Sneaky discussions with Four Eyes. They were there at the show, not officially, but they're walking around. So yeah, good catch up with Four Eyes to see what they're doing, particularly around the Precision 3. I've been testing that. I've got beta firmware on that unit, and it's been a long process with the Precision 3. Just to keep everybody updated, if you're across the testing of the Precision 3 that I did a year ago or so, it's been quite some time. The newer firmwares really have tidied up the issues that I was seeing with that in regard to cadence lag. Power accuracy was good once you were pedaling. I think it's been worked on quite a bit. Anyway, more to come from Four Eyes in the near future. Who else? Lots of other chance meetings and hallways and things. Anyway, enough rambling on. Actually, let's discuss this before I jump into the B-roll. And it just beeped on me then. So we saw the Brighton radar, the Guardia R300L. L is the version that they've launched in the Western market. L, I think, stands for long, as in long range. And look, they've gone from launching a product yesterday to, I guess, what would you refer to it as? Disaster recovery with the reviews that are out there at the moment. Des, Matt Legrand, Ray put out some reviews of this unit. Summary being not quite ready, and that's exactly what I'm seeing. As I mentioned over on Instagram and mentioned yesterday, the goalposts keep moving for that. I have a radar on the back of this bag right now with a firmware that hasn't been reviewed. So it's an even newer firmware, released today. So I picked up a new unit from Brighton at the show, and let's see if it beeps. It's not quite pointing in the right, hopefully you can see that. It's mounted on the back of the bag, just sort of dangling off the back. Not quite sure it's a good test. However, I was going to say training is testing, testing is training, walking is testing. Let's see how it goes as the riders come up behind me. Anyway, that's a weird one. That's a weird one from Brighton. I think drilling down into Ray's review of that and Ray's conclusion, it's a safety device. Now, there's no official safety standards when it comes to radars. Radars are just, yeah, whatever. Here's the ANT Plus standard. Does it need to detect a certain percentage of cars or vehicles or approaching objects? to be able to be sold? No, it doesn't. Just like power meters can be sold with any amount of accuracy, it doesn't really matter. They're all self-certified. As we've seen in the industry, who knows what the accuracy is when it's self-certified. There we go. Bike back. So, yeah, strange one. As a safety device, or as a pseudo-safety device, yep, it just went off then. I think it's up to the responsibility of the manufacturer to get it right, and get it very, very right. Garmin have it right. Very, very trusted devices. The RTLs, RCTs, RDRs, I think they're little tiny 315 is. All very trusted devices. And the other ones, yeah, just require a little bit of testing. And I think with the reviews that we've seen, the functionality that we've seen from the Brighton, they're now at a point where they're going to have to claw back some trust in those devices. So, enough on the negative. I have a new firmware, we'll test it out. Not just in the back of a bag, we'll test it out back home on the bike and see how it goes. Anyway, as I said, rambling on before I got into the Brighton discussion, which is one thing I'll be looking at as soon as I get home, and as the wind picks up. Let's have a look at today's B-roll. Not as interesting as yesterday, still quite a few things to look at. And yeah, as I said, couldn't cover it all. If you want to see some more coverage of this, Joe over at China Cycling, his video from yesterday, I'll put a link in the video description below to Joe's work. Again, Joe knows what he's looking for from the local manufacturers, some of the build quality engineering and things behind some of the products that we're seeing on show here. And anyway, I said I've got to stop rambling. Here's the B-roll. Let's have a look at what I saw today. Alrighty, back into the show. Rinse and repeat from day one, scoping out anything that's new and interesting. And first thing I found here, and look, let me know in the comments. I think I may be in a little bit of a bubble, but I expected at least one of these bottle cages to have an AirTag holder in it. But wasn't to be. There was one that did look like a horse saddle, another one that had a bit of a storage compartment down below, but no AirTag holders. Something else that I thought was a great little design, and that is just having flashing lights in these pannier bags. CR2032 in the back, and pretty simple little setup. Makes a lot of sense. Anyway, something weird and wonderful to be seen out on the bike. I've never seen lizard bottle cages before. Now we have. Now you have too. Microshift, not a new player in the market. I thought I'd have a closer look at some of their offerings now that the competition is kind of heating up in the group set space. Their gravel setup here. And, oh, look, to be honest, those levers have a face only a mother, no, not even a mother could love those levers. They are bloody horrible. Anyhow, good to see companies coming out with more options. Speaking of more options, lots of cargo bikes. This one looking a little bit like an Urban Arrow. I'd love to live in a city where one of these would be viable. Ballarat is not that city. Now here's a little interesting one. Speaking of very, very little, that thing there, that's a bearing. So small, the iPhone would hardly even focus on it. I've never seen a bearing that small. I'd love to get the specifications of that. But that's what I call a bottom bracket for ants. Very small. Trigon, or Trigon, had their bike up on the award display with some little fairings over the brake calipers. Had no, I guess, mechanical structure reason to be there other than possibly a little bit of wind deflection to keep the brakes cooler, maybe? I'll have to look into that, but yeah. Now, I don't know what to say about this. It was one of the most, well, the weirdest conversation I've ever had with somebody on a stand. The guy was from Perth, telling me these bikes get up to 100 k's an hour. In Australia, the laws state you cannot go over 25 kilometres per hour with a motor assist. The conversation was as weird as the bike you're looking at. And yes, that is a kangaroo with devil wings. Anyhow, one of these for the Llama Lab would be great, a dynamic fatigue testing machine. Won't be testing handlebars in the Llama Lab, but I'd love some machines to do some erg testing for me. Over to Dita, and they have gravel bars from the extreme to the wide, to the wide again, to the not so wide. Quite a few options for the gravel bars from Dita. Cat Eye had a new GPS, Air GPS, senseless and swappable. They didn't have the plastic off the demo unit. Still very much a 1985 Casio style watch interface on this thing. And here are the specs here: GPS, rechargeable, smart setup, backlight, upload, etc., etc. Links to Strava, that's probably the main thing here. Cat Eye themselves, not really on my radar, to be honest. Definitely at the lower end, and they've also flooded the market with a ton of options that look to be differentiated by feature sets. They all look the same to me, to be honest. Back over to these guys again, and they finally had their, well, they're tinkering away on their phones, but they had the up and down riser clone without steering there. But I thought this would be an interesting time to walk a little closer and have a look at their Zwift setup. If you haven't seen Zwift in widescreen with 3 different screens, that's a pretty cool little setup. And you'll see a rider come past in a minute. There we go. Quite a bit of immersion there, as opposed to just having one screen in front. You can see on the front, just below the main screen there, the LiDAR detecting me walking towards it. We had a quick look at this yesterday, so the LiDAR still working there on the bike, but I wanted to just focus on the 3-screen Zwift setup. It's giving me some ideas at home, but I've got to buy an extra 2 screens of the same size. Over to Cyplus, a brand that gives me a little shivers down the spine or zaps in the bowels. Mini bicycle tyre inflator, USB-C rechargeable. They told me this goes up to 100 psi and can do 3 tyres. Big call. Very, very big call. On the box it says 2 bicycle tyres. Don't know who to believe. But, yeah, interesting stuff. It wasn't too heavy. This one, from the Weird and the Wonderful again. I don't know whether this bear was trying to solicit me or just be inappropriate. No idea. Drunk bear, you can go home yourself, mate. Very, very weird. Onto some reflective bar tape. I haven't actually seen reflective bar tape, and when I said to the lady on the stand here that it stood out to me, I hadn't seen that before, she told me that quite a lot of other people are doing it as well. Not typically what you'd tell someone who's only seen yours. This was called Fly's Eyes. I didn't want to demonstrate what Fly's Eyes was, but it was pretty cool. Next thing, Shimano 12-speed, SRAM 12-speed. These companies continue to make the same cassette for the 2 speeds that are different in spec. Lots of bling here, but I don't quite understand how they're getting away with calling a Shimano 12-speed and a SRAM 12-speed compatible. I'll go talk to SRAM about that tomorrow. Apidura, something Dr. Slane has mentioned many, many times. All their swagger gear, very well built stuff, this stuff. If you're into bush bashing, bikepacking. Another human radar, I think this was. Nobody knew what it was because people were just walking past and looking at it, but I picked up on that it was detecting people as they were walking past. So they were showing here their own kind of radar, which, as I approach it, accuracy was a bit questionable. Expedo, God, whatever you want to call this. Why do they go with this name? I don't know. APX Lite. I have tested one of their trainers a while back. They've got a roller contraption here. A few of the trainers. I think what we're seeing here is the result of a lot of development from COVID times when indoors was booming. I think a lot of these companies really ramped up production and options, hoping that indoor training would continue on its popularity. Hasn't been the case. We've seen a return to normality and lots of different trainers on the market. And the last one there, the APX Lite, which is the, I guess, the lower range, the direct drive offerings. And here's the APX roller in its full glory of whatever that is there on the front. And lastly, from my B-roll collection, ceramic speed. A few little things shown behind the scenes, which are coming up soon. And a chain here, which gets the tick of approval from Cocaine Bear. Alrighty, so there we are. Day 2 done and dusted. And I'm almost back to the night market for dinner. I love this night market. It's absolutely brilliant. If you're ever on I put a lot of stuff up on Instagram, so check out my Instagram. A few funny things during the day that I've been putting up on that too. Anyhow, there we go. Today was more about the meetings, as I said, than capturing content. I'm not here as a YouTuber or a vlogger or whatever. This is the footage I'm capturing here is just, a few things that I'm interested in, a few things that I was just sharing out, having a bit of fun yesterday as well with what I was looking for. But looking for that next very interesting thing, looking for what's new, looking for that next oh wow product or bike feature or something like that. Anyway, it's been good. Alrighty, day 2 done and dusted. Day 3, the flight's at 11:30 at night. It's going to be a long one. Not sure I'll be back with another video, but I'll definitely be back in a few months with the meetings that I've had, the content behind the scenes and things. It's all part of what's coming up and what's being launched through Sea Otter, Eurobike, and through to the end of the year. Whoop, there we go. Bike back. Brighton, your radar it's working. It's working. Let's get it home and put it to the true test though on the roads in Ballarat. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.